person that saw a need and stepped up. He didn't stand against whites. What he ended up doing was incorporating a principle called Ubuntu. Ubuntu. And in essence, it's a concept that transcends many different traditions. If you hear it in Buddhism or Hinduism, you'll hear a term called ahimsa. It's the concept of doing no harm. John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist movement, the Methodist Church, actually had that idea. General rules that he created. He created 3 general rules, and the first one was, guess what? Do no harm. And Ubuntu sort of conveying that same idea. Don't harm one another. And one time in an interview, he was asked to describe it. Here's what he said. Ubuntu means that in order for you to be all you can be, I need to be all I can be. And in order for me to be all that I can be, you need to be all that you can be. Ubuntu. Don't harm one another. Because when we harm one another, we're actually harming ourselves. So now you see the priest and you see the Levite that as they walk on the side of the road to get away and to not touch the man who's on the side of the road. Because why? Their purity, their ritual purity might be ruined. But the concept of doing no harm is sort of taking that to the next level and saying they forgot. They forgot the original point of connection with God. They forgot what we talked about last week. Last week we talked about Abram and how he's supposed to be blessed to be a blessing. And so here's the priest and the Levite walking on the other side of the road, forgetting the very thing that they're supposed to be about. And having the person that they would despise and that they did not like at all actually live out the thing that they should have automatically been doing. And the question for us becomes, where is it that we're doing harm? I mean, as I look at the story, the interesting thing is, the harm is actually done in not doing something. There's the harm of the robbers, the physical harm, but there's the harm of these other 2 guys walking by and actually not helping the person that needed help. And so the story points out both sides of the do no harm. There's 2 ways to do it, which means my action or my inaction might cause harm to others. When a paramedic arrives on a scene, the thing that they do is first assess the scene. Assess the scene. They don't just jump in and start pumping on the guy's chest. They will assess the scene and say, what's the wound? What's the nature of the concern for the individual that they're facing, so that they don't do harm. And what would it look like for us to look in terms of our marriage relationships? I mean, one of the things that I struggle with, I'm a sarcastic guy. I'm very sarcastic. If you get a conversation with me, I can be funny, but my funniness can actually hurt you. It can cut you. Now imagine that being lived with, okay? Imagine 30 years with my wife that we talked about. 30 years of my wife having to wrestle with my sarcasm, and sometimes I push it too far. How can I start watching my mouth? What's it look like in terms of a relationship to our kids or our parents to us, or our kids to us? The words that we use towards each other, the slam doors, the things that we say to others about the people that we love. The things that we talk about when that person's not there with us. The harm that does. You know, John Wesley had a second general rule that followed behind the first one, and that was, do no harm one. But follow it up with do all the good you can. Do all the good you can. And so when you think about that idea of a backpack, of the things that Christ is talking about that are the big things are the great commandments. Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, all of your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And the other great thing for him was the Great Commission. Go. Go make disciples, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And teaching them all that I've taught you. Why? So that they might become followers of me and live out a life that does not do harm, that does all the good that it can. We're doing that already, guys. We're doing it already. I think if you look at your life, you can find places both where you're doing harm, if you're honest. But you can also find places where you're doing wonderful and good things.